Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Got to fill that motorbike up with Coca-Cola? No, that's gasoline, petrol. And that's how they buy it out here in the province. Usually comes out of the Coca-Cola bottle. And that'll get us quite a ways. And this is a trip a while back. I recommend to everybody, if you're in the city, in the towns, every once in a while you just get out into the country. Many of you would prefer the province life, and province life can be many different things. It can be in a small town. It can be in the mountains, very remote mountains, where you very likely don't even have internet. You might have one channel for your television, one or two channels. Anyway, completely different experience here. And this happens to be in Cebu Island, happens to be in an area between Barilli and Molbol area. And I was up visiting some people up in the mountains and took a trip down. Hired these motorbike drivers for the day, actually. I do believe it is safe to travel, even for foreigners in most areas of the Philippines. There are some areas you want to be aware of. You need to ask the locals about it first. The NPA, the armed wing of the Communist Party, is active in some areas, usually remote areas, and they generally don't mess with foreigners. They're generally they attack police or military units in those areas. But I think a couple of years ago, a couple of foreigners got into a crossfire situation and were wounded, I believe. Anyway, you want to know about that. I think places in Negros Island, Panay Island, different islands, Luzon Island, as well as Mindanao, the NPA is active. And of course, if you get, especially in the southern western half of Mindanao Avenue, you've got the Muslim extremists down there, so you probably not advised to go into those areas as well. You would stand out a bit as a foreigner. But province life, here you got your basketball, your barangay, your village basketball court. And every province, every area has their barangays, their villages, and they've got their barangay chiefs. And then they have tanads are their first level of security, of law enforcement. Tanads generally don't carry, I don't think they're allowed to carry guns. They can carry a baton, so they could whack you over the head with a baton, but Filipinos in general tend to de-escalate things as much as they can and try to handle things in a peaceful manner. It's been my experience watching the different issues where there is a problem and tanads or police are called in, and they usually try to defuse the situation and use some negotiation, some diplomacy to defuse whatever the current crisis is. And if that doesn't work, then of course they can go ahead and try to arrest people. Now, some of you will want to rent your own motorbike, and there's lots of rental places around. Some islands you go on, and you'll, like Siquijor, I was there. I agreed to rent a motorbike from my tricycle driver that took me to find a resort because I did not have reservations set up ahead of time. And he arranged for me. So a lot of these people have connections, even on Siquijor. Every block that you would drive around the island, almost, I'm exaggerating a bit, but many signs, motorbike for rent, motorbike for rent. And so many areas you can rent motorbikes. And my big question is always, if this motorbike breaks down someplace, what's the procedure? And if it breaks down and it's not my fault and just won't start or whatever, one guy told me once, "Oh yeah, you'll have to pay to repair it." Oh no, that's not going to happen. So make sure that if it's part of their maintenance issue that they have to repair in fact, bring you. I know of expats who have waited several hours for these rental places to bring them a second bike. And my experience is that rental motorbikes usually cost, and I'm talking about 100, 125, 150 motorbikes, CC, relatively small. I think my average between 300 and 400 pesos a day. And 300, that's $6 or 408 US. So relatively inexpensive. But I always do want to make sure that they are willing and capable to take care of the proper maintenance and pickup and delivery, whatever, if, for instance, the battery goes out. I would not drive in the evening under any circumstances except for an emergency. Here's another barangay hall type area, basketball courts, and because there are just too many obstacles. There are potholes. There are areas, and you'll see it here a little bit later, where 2 lanes turns into 1 lane with construction going on with little or no warning at all. And all of a sudden your lane stops, or you go from pavement to dirt road, depending upon where you're at. Chickens and dogs and children and people walking that you can't see, motorbikes and tricycles, four-wheel vehicles sometimes without lights running at night. So there are just too many hazards out there. I know a guy, I think he was from Finland, over on Bohol a couple of years ago, rented a motorbike. Some kids ran into the side of his motorbike, didn't do any damage to anyone or the vehicle, the motorbike itself, and but anyway, the people who were watching the children insisted on calling the police, and after some discussion at the police department, I think he ended up paying 10,000 pesos, $200 to be able to go on down the road without any more issues. I have had 2 minor accidents with rental vehicles, both places on very rough terrain, where I was kind of pushing my luck anyway. The second time didn't do any damage except to myself and my rider. We scratched ourselves up a little bit, but fortunately didn't break any bones. The first time was a brand new Honda over on Camotes Island, and I laid that down going up a hill, and a rough hill. It wasn't really a road, kind of a back road, very rocky, and then come to a T in the road, a real sharp left-hand turn. Didn't have enough acceleration, gave it some gas, and of course I'm into that turn already. End up going down the steps of a house, about 4 steps, and scratching the bike up, scratching myself and bruising myself up a little bit, and cost me 7,000 pesos to replace the parts that I scratched up, and about 140 US dollars. So I actually came out of that relatively light, but good idea to carry enough cash with you just in case you have some issues like that. If you have a flat tire, you need to find a vulcanizer, somebody repair your tire if you need gasoline along the way. Now, you should be able to negotiate a lot lower rent if you're going to rent for a week or a couple weeks or a month, maybe 200, maybe even 100 pesos, depending upon the demand and the area that you're in. Will really vary, depends on the area that you're in. And there again, I guess I prefer renting from a rental company because they're more likely to stand behind their product in case something comes down. You can often find something cheaper from a private party, possibly, but then if it breaks down, you might have an issue there. And here's one of the many instances where the road went from 2-lane to narrow 1 lane very quickly without much of a warning. Anyway, it's great to get out and spend some time in the province, out in the country. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and I'll see you next time.